Hello friends, this is Shitanshu from Dream Abroad. Many of you were asking me to upload videos on IELTS, so I decided to upload a few videos on IELTS. The first one being on the introduction about IELTS, and the upcoming videos will be on the tips and tricks. Now, I appeared for IELTS back in 2016 and it's been quite some time now. So I also had this leverage of bringing in somebody who can give you expert advice on each section of IELTS. So she's recently arrived in Canada as a permanent resident. She's also my sister. So let me introduce to you somebody who can help you with the IELTS.
Hi, I'm Shailly, and yes, I have been teaching IELTS, but I have never given videos. So I'm sorry if I appear naive and I make grammatical errors or presentation mistakes, but I just want to help you out. Thank you so much.
So let's start this video.
Alright, so let's get started with the first video of preparation for IELTS. This video is meant especially for those people who have no idea about IELTS, who do not know about the booking of IELTS, about the pattern of IELTS, and about the result of IELTS. So these are the three things that we will cover in this video. To start with the first thing, we must know that IELTS is of two forms. That means there is an academic IELTS and there is general IELTS. The first one, the academic IELTS, has to be taken by the people who want to go to study abroad. The second one is for general IELTS. That is for those people who want to go abroad to settle on a permanent residence. Okay, now this test can be booked online by two organizations which are the organizers of these tests, and they are British Council and IDP. Both these organizations individually organize the test, and the test is recognized worldwide. You can go onto their websites to book the test online. Now let's talk about the pattern of the test. In the pattern, we must know that there are four skills which are tested. The first one is speaking, the second is listening, third is reading, and the fourth is writing. So there are four skills that IELTS tests us on. Now let's talk about each of them one by one. So talking about speaking, this is a test which is generally held on a different day. Now what do I mean by that? This means that speaking skill is not tested on the main day of the test. On the main day, there are the other three skills which are tested. Speaking is held in a different shift on a different day altogether, at a different venue also. This test is basically for around 12 minutes time. There is a face-to-face interaction with an examiner who's sitting across the table that you are going to the room that we are going to. And there the person asks us the question in three parts. First, general introduction. Second, cue card. And third, discussion. In general introduction, there are 5 to 6 questions which start usually from what's your full name, what do, you work or your study, and things like that. And then they move on to general questions. After that, there is a cue card, which means that there's a page on which they write something. They write a question. There's already a question given to you, which is followed by 3 cues. For example, let's discuss about a party that you have attended recently. You have to talk about what did you do in this party, who you met, who gave this party, and what did you like about this party. So you have to talk about this, you have to prepare for a minute, they'll give you a paper to prepare, and then you have to speak for a minimum of 1 minute to a maximum of 2 minutes time. Of course, you can refer to the paper that you have made the notes on. After this, after you have spoken, then there is a part which is known as discussion. In this part, they ask you questions related to this. For example, how do you think the party scene has changed over there? Not necessarily the word scene, but yes, questions like this. How do you think young people party nowadays? Has it changed from older generations? How will it change in future generations? And so on. So this test lasts for around 12 minutes. So now let's move on to the next part, which is the main day of the test. Now this is the day that we have booked when we booked for IELTS test. The date of the speaking test usually comes from 7 to 4 days before the main day, and that comes by mail. Okay, so you cannot really decide when your speaking test is going to be, but this main day is the date which you have booked. Now this test is divided in 3 parts. The first one is listening, second is reading, and the third one is writing. So let's talk about them one by one. So the first test is a 30 minutes test, and that's listening. In these 30 minutes time, we have to listen to 4 sections. There is a headset which is given to each test taker, and we have to make sure that we are listening to what is being spoken because the audio is not repeated. And for 30 minutes time, we'll be listening to 4 sections. Each section will have 10 questions, and we'll have to put the answers on our answer booklet. Now mind you, there is a different answer sheet that is given to us, which is an OMR sheet, and we have to transfer our answers from this answer booklet to that answer sheet in 10 additional minutes, 10 extra minutes which are given to us after this 30 minutes time. Okay, so remember we talked about 2 things, academic IELTS and general IELTS. So now we are going to talk about the differences in these 2 IELTS. Actually, for speaking and for listening, this test remains the same for both of them all. But in reading and writing, there are differences. So let's talk about the academic first. In academic reading, the test will be divided in 3 sections. Each section will be of 1 passage each, and each passage will have generally 13 questions in all. That means the test entirely of reading has 40 questions to be solved in 60 minutes time. Now please remember, here also we will get that booklet and a different answer sheet, but here we do not get any extra time to transfer our answers from the booklet to the answer sheet. So we have to solve, read, comprehend, solve and mark all in those 60 minutes time. That was for academic reading. For general reading also, the time remains the same, that's 60 minutes, the pattern remains the same. I mean, the answer booklet and the answer sheet and the transferring, that remains the same. But there is a difference in the format of the test. That means that general IELTS takers have to solve 5 passages. These 5 passages have to be solved in those 60 minutes time, of course, but they are different than what academic people get. The first 4 passages, they are of easier level, much easier level than academic level, and the last passage is a long passage exactly as those as academic test takers. The questions are the same in number, which is 40. Okay, now the last thing on the pattern, of course, which is writing. Now writing is the test which is different from all the other skills in one way, that is, it's subjective. In speaking, they give you questions, you give them answers, so it's tick tack, tick tack. In listening, you hear and you write. In reading also, you read and you write, so you can go back and forth. But in writing, it's 2 questions given to you for either of the tests, whether you're taking academic test or you are taking general test. For academic people, the task 1 is different from the task 1 of general. So that means there's a difference in this test too. There are 2 tasks, actually task 1 and task 2. Task 2 remains the same for both of them, which is essay writing. Task 1 is different. For task 1, academic people are given a chart or a table or a graph or something like that, or a figure or a mix of these, and then they have to explain that, and this is known as report writing. For general candidates, they have to take a letter writing test. Okay, so a topic is given and there are again 3 to 4 cues which you have to explain over there in the letter. Moving on to the task 2. This task is an essay writing which usually tests your opinion on a topic. They also expect you to write your examples or experiences if you can do that. So 60 minutes, ideally 20 minutes for task 1, 40 minutes for task 2. Remember, this can be really an exhaustive task because you have been taking listening, reading, writing without a gap in any of these tests. So now you know about how to book the test and what's the pattern of the test. What you do not know is the most important thing for which you are actually taking this test, and that's your result. you get your result on the 13th day from the main day of the test. This means that if you have taken your test on 10th of June, you will get your result on 23rd of June. Test takers, organizers usually give the results to test takers on SMS, email, and also you can log into your account to check your result because that gets uploaded there also. Now this is all the soft copy form. They also send you a hard copy of the TRF, which is the form of your result, and that comes to your address, I guess, on 3 or 4 days later. That's how it is. So hope you are now well versed with the 3 things. That's introduction to the booking of IELTS, pattern of IELTS, and the result of IELTS. In the next videos, we'll be talking individually about each skill and how to solve those questions. We'll also be giving you tips and tricks to improve your score. All the best!